Hey friends, it is Sunday and that means I am going live. I know I've had some people say, hey, you should really actually take and record these and put these somewhere so in case I can't watch it live, I can actually watch it. Well, guess what, friends? You can actually watch it over on YouTube. So if by chance it gets lost in the shuffle, and this is also available on YouTube and on Facebook, and then sometimes I repurpose them on Instagram. Hey, Mr. Iv, so good to see you. So happy Sunday, guys. I am flying solo. I have Franny and friends that I sometimes do with people, but sometimes I just kind of fly solo. So tonight you're getting me all by myself. So, I want to share with you about the topic of one ritual that can change your life and one ritual that has changed my life. And I would love to know from you right now if you have a practice, a routine, tradition, or ritual that you practice that has changed your life, or perhaps something that has been passed on generationally. And so let's just kind of get the ball rolling here and put this in the comments, like brushing your teeth. Like, I don't know about you, but that has changed my life. You know what is always interesting to me? Like, I hate when I watch a movie, and give me a thumbs up if this is you, and like the person rolls over and like kisses the person. Like, I would never do that before I brush my teeth. Like, just saying, that might be the reason why I'm single. The other thing is like exercise. Like, that is huge. That has changed my life. It is a ritual. It is a practice that I employ daily. It has changed my life. If you saw my video a couple weeks ago, you know that that is something that is so close to my heart. All right, so that's one. I'd love to hear from you. Like, what is one that you practice that has changed your life, right? That you would never go without, because now that you know like how life-changing it is to you. So tonight I'm going to share a little bit about how my grandmother used to watch Guiding Light. And I know that you're like, how does that ritual, watching soap operas, how does that even relate? Do they even have soap operas? I think there's like a soap opera channel. But anyways, my grandmother used to sit and watch the Guiding Light. Now, my grandmother was like my best friend. I adored her. I still idolize her, not idolize her above God, of course, but I still hold her in high regard and high esteem. But I remember coming home from school, and I remember that my grandmother would be sitting there, and she would sometimes be crocheting, but most often when she was sitting in the corner chair, she was like literally reciting the rosary. And she had her little rosary beads in her hand, and then she got advanced and she got one of those little rosary rings where you like turn it, there's like these little like nubs on it, and she would turn it. And I remember like thinking like, wow, like what is she doing? What is she praying? And then I really never knew about a prayer life. Like, I was culturally Catholic, and give me a thumbs up if you were like raised in a Catholic home and like that's just what you did. Like, my grandmother was like crazy insane about it. Like, she would put like holy water on our car when we leave for a trip or something like that. And I loved it. Now looking back, like at the time I just thought she was weird. And so, there were lots of little different things that she did. She would always do the sign of the cross, right? She would always do these little things. And when I was younger, I just kind of thought it was weird, and I really didn't recognize like what was the point of doing all these like little like Italian Catholic things, putting holy water in your car, saying the sign of the cross, saying, oh, Madonna mia, all those things that my grandmother said and did, I oftentimes just found completely crazy and would make fun of her about it. And what I didn't realize was that my grandmother was actually like praying into her children and her children's children, which was me, and future generations, right? There's a song by Carrie Job, and it says, it's called The Blessing, and that you're generational, like that we have this opportunity and this power for generational blessing to go from you onto another. And in the song it says, for 1,000 generations. And so I want to remind you tonight, you guys, like, I know that this might seem like crazy in 2020 and in our very self-absorbed world with all of the selfies and all the ways, even before we logged on tonight, like I was totally playing with filter. Like, do any of you ever wish you could just like have a filter like on you nonstop? Like, that's because I like have these wrinkles, and I was like, I don't want anyone to see my crow's feet, but hey, that's what you're getting. Like me and my really bright like fluorescent light ring back here. But I need to tell you guys that, woo, check that out. It's not about you. And what I mean by that is, your prayer life is not about you. And so tonight, the one practice I want to share with you guys that has been hugely powerful in my own life, and I know that there are people who are tuned in who may have been cured from cancer, or who maybe have had, restoration in a relationship, or maybe they've had financial provision, because we know that prayer changes things, right? I want you to remember that there are 37 recorded miracles in the Bible, right, that Jesus did. But there are so many, because here's the best part. He says, when he goes away, and this is game changer, he says, I'm going to go away, but guess what? There are greater things to be done through you. And so I think that is hugely powerful. Like, we have that power. There are 66 books in the Bible, not the Catholic Bible, that has 72. There are 66 books in the Bible. And no, many people will never ever pick up the Bible, but you're the 67th. They will read your life. They will watch your life. They will see what you are doing in your life. And they're going to say, hey, like, what are they doing? I want to do that. Or I want some of that joy. I want some of that peace. I want some of that they have, right? Because that is an opportunity for us to then witness and to be able to like show what love means, and not just like love the noun that we talk about. Like, it's love the action, it's love the verb. And so with that being said, guys, I want you to think about this, because this is something I struggle with, and I would love a thumbs up if any of you struggle with not having your prayers answered, right? And then you hear like the cliche of like, oh, there's only 3 answers to prayer: yes, no, and not yet. I'm like, I don't know about that one. No, I do know that. But I also know that God has often not answered my prayers. But here's the best part, is that I, maybe not even in this world, and this is what's also hard, I think this day and age, we want our prayers to be answered right now, and we want things to be about us in this like here and now in this natural world, but oftentimes it happen through generations. So with that being said, and going back to that Carrie Job song, Moses led the Israelites, he led them, right, out of into the promised land, but he never himself got there. So I think that that's really powerful. Like, he led them out of slavery, but he never got to that next step, which is really crazy, because we're like, wait, he did all that work, right? Now, this is not like a buzzkill way to start your month and way to, hoping it's not starting your month, because I want you to think about this. People who have come before you perhaps have been praying for you in this generation. So here's the good news. When you believe, God says in his word, when you believe, that is then where you then receive, right? You don't wait, you don't say, oh, okay, I see it, and now I'm gonna go ahead and then believe for it. It's like when you're losing weight, you're like, okay, I believe I can lose 10 pounds, right? And then you start seeing the scale move, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm actually doing it. Drinking the gallon of water and, exercising a couple of days a week and limiting my calories, it actually works. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So with that being said, I want you to think about, Moses, he got there, but the generations to come were actually able to see the fruit of that labor. And the same thing with Jesus, right? Like, he prayed and said, Father, take this cup from me. And it didn't happen, right? But look at all of the ways in which we have received the blessing. Okay, so here's the message of encouragement that I want to remind you. The one prayer that has changed my life, you guys, it is from 1 Chronicles. And I think if you blink it, you might miss it. Now, 1 Chronicles, literally, it's the genealogy. Like, it tells kind of like all the background, hence the word chronicle. It literally like writes out and describes all the things that were going on. And it allows David to trace his roots. So it actually runs simultaneously with 2 Samuel. And so it's kind of the commentary side of things. And so I don't want to get this, not a Bible study, but I just want to kind of give you the context, because if you blink in 1 Chronicles 4, verse 10, and I want you to go look this up, and in different different translations, the Message one is really good, but there is one character, and it's one line. He's only mentioned once in the entire Bible, and you probably don't even know. Jabez. 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 And the thing about Jabez that I absolutely love is that his name actually meant pain. Like, he was born in pain, which, how terrible is that? So parents, please make sure that you really think about what you're naming your children, right? Like, Jehoshaphat is not my biblical name that I would go for, but I'm also guessing Jabez is not either. Okay, so with that being said, Jabez prays one prayer, and he says, Lord, I ask that you would bless me indeed, and I would ask you to enlarge my territory and keep me from harm and pain. Zip. That's it. So there's different parts. He asks, Lord, I ask that you would bless me indeed. I ask that you enlarge my territory. Keep me from harm. Keep me from pain. I prayed that prayer every single morning before I get out of bed. Now here's the thing I want to share with you. In a Bruce Wilkinson book, which he takes and he talks about this exact prayer, he divides it in an entire book. It's like literally like a 70-page little guide. And it's a great book if you get a chance. It's called The Prayer of Jabez. He gives this story, and this is not factual. This has not really happened, but he gives this story about how this gentleman went to heaven, and he gets up to heaven and he says to the angels, like, oh my gosh, what is all of this? And there's like this, literally like this huge, large storage room, and ceiling to floor, you know, there's all these stacks of filing cabinets. And he was like, what are these? You know, what is this? And the angel says to him, these are every single believer. This is every single believer has a file folder. And he says, oh my gosh, do I have one? And he says, well, of course you do. That's why you're in heaven, right? And so he goes and he finds his file folder and he starts reading through it. And he goes, well, what are these? And he says, these are blessings. And he says, well, I don't remember this one. And I don't remember this one. And I don't remember this one. And then here's what he says. The angel says to him, wait for it. Yeah, because you never asked for them. Boom! Like mind blown, right? We don't oftentimes ask for blessings. We're afraid of asking for blessings. We forget that we're asking for blessings. Now, you do have to be specific. Like, you just don't go like pull up at Taco Bell and be like, I'll have a taco. Like, what kind of taco do you want? I do not encourage that, by the way. Okay? It's meat filler. It's not even meat. That's a whole other story and a whole other live session. But with that being said, you have to be specific about what you're praying for, right? Not just like, Lord, like, you know, keep me from pain. Okay, what kind of pain? Like, are you having a pain in your side? Are you having pain with emotional, like, you know, financial worries or relationship worries? Like, be very, very, very specific about what you're praying for. So I love that, like, kind of depiction and kind of that allegory that Bruce Wilkinson uses, because he goes like deep into it. Like, well, in that filing cabinet were all of the blessings that the guy had not prayed for. And like, I don't want to go through my life and missing the blessings that God has before me and missing the opportunities to bless someone else and to demonstrate God's power in my life, right? And so when you think about that, you guys, like, even though that First Chronicles is a story and it's a genealogy, like, think about the people who've come before you and think about the people who are coming after you who are going to receive those blessings. Because remember, you get blessed to be a blesser, right? You hopefully don't hold on to those. You hopefully don't like, well, mine, like, you know, like you're Scrooge. You want to be able to go ahead and then share this with other people. You want to be able to multiply, because we know that God is a multiplier. He's not a subtractor, right? He likes to add to our lives by multiplying things. Think about the fish and the loaves, right? It was 5 fish and 2 loaves. Maybe it was reversed. But anyway, so he takes this little boy's lunch, and he's like, they pretty much commandeered it from him. They pretty much stole it. I'm just saying. So they went and they took this little boy's lunch, and then they were able to do so much with it. Like, if you have that little bit, that little part, that little piece, you can be used as a blessing in God's kingdom. 100%, you guys. So with that being said, I just want to kind of close with this. One is, make sure you go take a look at 1 Chronicles 4:10. Simple, one-line prayer, one verse. That's all it is in the Bible. Memorize it. Teach it to your children. And then pray specifically for it. Pray specifically, Lord, I ask that you enlarge my territory wherever I go today, in the meetings that I'm going into, the people that I'm going to see, the practices I'm going to pick my children up from. Be very specific. Enlarge my territory. Give me an opportunity to bless the people with my words, with the things that I say, with the thing, all of those things. Pray that over the people that you're going to interact with that day, right? And keep me from harm and pain, especially as we go into a new month, especially as we come into a new season. Who knows what kind of craziness is going to happen with the full moon and the election and the Friday the 13th, blah, all that stuff. So be thinking and mindful about how you specifically want to pray. And then I want you to really think about this, because we're entering into a season of gratitude. It is November, starting today. And I really want you to think about this in terms of living with hopeful expectation, right? I wake up and I say to myself, something is going to happen to me and through me today. I know it, God. And I live with expectation, like, oh, that was it. And then when I lay my head down at night and I ask God, sorry, there's a bug. And then I ask God, like, what was the good thing today? Like, sometimes I have like 42 things, and sometimes I'm like struggling to get 4.2 things, right? Because of my perspective on things. But here's the thing. If you are breathing, that's one thing to be grateful for today. Just saying. So really, if you're having a hard time thinking of some things, message me. I'll go ahead and I'll direct message you, and I'll tell you, I'll help you out. I'll help you find a couple things to be grateful for, because we want to live in hopeful expectation that things are happening in the good, right? And for the good. And so with that being said, I want you to really think about how in this season you can be a blessing to those people who God is blessing in your path. He's putting you in places. He's putting you in the Target checkout line that extra minute or two so you can practice patience. He's putting you in the line, where somebody steals your car parking space or parking lot space. I really want you to think about that, you guys. I want you to live in hopeful expectation that good things are going to happen to you and through you. All right, I love all the comments that are coming in, so thank you. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. I'm so grateful for you for being a follower, a subscriber, a fan, whatever it is, whatever platform, whatever way in which we connect in this world. I'm grateful for you, and I hope that you have one ritual, one routine that, certainly impacts not only you, but future generations. So think about how you might be able to incorporate prayer. And think about, you might be just like my crazy grandma. I don't have children of my own, but I know that there are people who think I'm crazy because I send voice texts to their kids all the time and things like that. And that's okay. I'm okay to be crazy Aunt Franny. That's totally fine with me because I know that my words have power. And so I want you to remember that too. Have a great day, everybody. A great start to a new week and a new month. Know that you are a blessing to me and I'm blessed by you. Have a great day. Love you all.